Welcome back. Today I am going to work some more on my backlog of rapid games over on Lichess. I never should have let myself get so far behind on analyzing these games, but I did. My hope here is that I will learn from some of these. This is the next one on my list. I resigned in this position down almost 3 minutes and obviously down a lot on material. From the graph at the bottom, it looks like there were 3 major points at which I gave away advantages, and then somewhere in the middle game, I gave it all away and my opponent just had the advantage from there on out. So I'm going to... Sorry, I've never seen that box that popped up there before. I don't know what it is. I assume if I click somewhere else, it'll go away. It looks like Lichess has done a little bit of a redesign here. There is a white circle around the blunder symbol. Has it changed my custom colors? No, it looks like my custom colors are going to be the same as they were before. Okay. About half of this channel, if you've been following very long, about half of my channel is coming to grips with the bugs and changes and redesigns of these sites and trying to figure out how to use them, which would be a lot easier if they didn't change all the time. Okay. But anyway, my opponent has played this on move 10 and it is a blunder. It gives me an advantage of about 5.7. As I've mentioned in previous videos, but if you're here for the first time, I'll say again, I know that the correct move is listed in the right column. I'm trying not to look at it. I'm going to try to figure out what I should have done here. I had something, and I'm going to guess it was taking the free bishop with check. Let's just guess that I didn't do that. Yeah, that seems pretty obvious to me right now. But if it wasn't that, what was it? I don't know what I would do after that. It looks like the king could just move over, or the opponent could block with the rook. And then what would I do? Because I couldn't then take this pawn because the rook would still be protecting it. So what would I do after that? I guess after they moved out of the way or block, I could leave it there for a second. If they ever challenged me, I could come back here. But that's what it looks like. I'm going to click the analysis tab. Yeah, I should have taken the free bishop. So what did I do? And oh, I castled. Okay, well, that's why we're looking at these games. It does look like here, like I said, it was obvious to me. Okay, I'm going to go to the next point in the game here. Here I didn't have nearly as much of an advantage. I turned that off before I saw the next move, I promise. But here I had less of an advantage than I did before, but I missed something because on the graph it shows me dropping almost to zeros, almost to even after this. So there was something that I had here. Okay, that has just moved out of danger from my knight. What am I supposed to do? Okay, well, I don't think it's checking here, even though that is protected by my bishop, but their bishop's also protecting that spot. So if I went there, I assume they would take it, and then if I took back, they would just get that, and I would have lost 2 pieces for 1. But if that bishop wasn't there, that looks like a pretty good move. So there maybe there's something else. Well, I'm not seeing it, and I don't know what I played. So I'm going to look over here. It says I played knight to e4, which is here. No, that's not e4. Wow, that's d5. This is e4. I don't know why I played that. Why did I play that? What does it do? Because from there, it can't go... Okay, it could go to this spot. It could go to g5, but it can't go to any of the other spots. Well, I guess it could always go back, but yeah, knight to e4 doesn't do anything. But I also don't see what I should have done. That's what I played, and that took us back to very close to 0. Okay, what should I have played? I should have played the one that I thought I did play. I guess it looks like it's aiming for that bishop. Okay, yeah, because it says they would probably play f3 after I played knight to d5. Oh, and at first it said I would take the bishop. Knight captures b6, but now it doesn't say that anymore. But that's the only move that gives me a +3 here. Okay, it is still saying that they would play f3, but it's almost as good if they played knight to f6 or queen to d6. Okay, well, what am I aiming at? Am I just aiming at the bishop? Okay, yeah, see, now it's returned. It says if they... That's not f3. Now it says if they played f3, I would take the bishop, and I would just leave their pawn sitting there. Well, it would be protected by both their bishop and their rook. And if they played knight to c6, I would take that knight first, and they would take back, and then I would take here with my other knight. That's if they did not play f3, but they put their knight on c6 instead. I guess I get that, but that's all that's doing there is, I guess, kind of threatening their bishop. But if they play, again, that's not f3. If they play f3 and I take their bishop, they're going to take back, and then I'm going to play g3, locking their f-pawn in place, I guess. And then without that bishop being there, I don't have to worry about continuing to guard my d-pawn. Perhaps. I But knight to d5 is the only move that maintains the advantage there. And again, when I saw my knight to e4, I automatically thought it was there. So I guess in my brain, I was kind of thinking of threatening the bishop and this pawn. I guess kind of a fork, even though that's protected. But here, I would have two attackers on this pawn. So I guess I understand that. Okay. But instead, I missed it. And my opponent gave me a little bit of the advantage back by taking that pawn. I assumed their idea was they would have a discovery here whenever they moved their bishop, like check or something, but that doesn't work because I'm going to take. So what should I have done here? Because right after this, I made a huge blunder that dropped me, on the graph anyway, it shows just a cliff all the way down, and then I never regained any advantage whatsoever. So I had chances here to do something, and that something was, what did I play? Oh, I played c3, okay. A to d1 was best. I saw it here before I had a chance to not see it. Rook a to d1, or okay, Stockfish says f to d1 would have been all right as well. Both of those. Did you see that? There was like a blinking there on the right, lower right. Yeah, it's showing up on the video. I'm telling you, some of these things going on with this site, and the other one, of course. The other one I think is slightly worse as far as irritations, but why was that blinking? I was just drawing an arrow. But yeah, rook a to d1, rook f to d1. And the advantage here was a little bit bigger than the game review said. The game review was saying, I think it said 1.5 before I played c3. But I needed to put one of the rooks over here. That would have made any discovery not that bad. But you know what? The discovery wouldn't have been that bad anyway because my knight's defending my queen. But those are the only two moves that do anything for me, even though their bishop is pointed right there. That's d1, right? And it says they wouldn't take. Okay, well, Stockfish decided that the a rook here is best. How bad? It's their third best move to take, and they only stay as close as +2 if they play rook to f5 or rook to e8. But they drop to +4. Give me +4 if they take this rook. I'm going to take back with my other rook. I'm guessing that the problem here is that their bishop is pinned, because if it moves, their queen's only defended once. I think that's the problem here. So if they did something like take this unprotected knight, I'm gonna have mate, right? I'm gonna take here. It says their best move is knight to c6, because I guess if they captured my queen and I capture back, that's mate. So they're not gonna take there. Oh, and the knight to c6, then the two rooks will see each other and therefore protect each other. Okay. Knight to c6, knight to a6, even knight to d7 is better than anything else. That's the reason I should give up a rook for a bishop exchange here, is because of that. Their queen's only defended once on the back rank, and I need to line up stuff against it. And I'm willing to give up this exchange because I'll still have a rook here, and then I can just take their other bishop. So in essence, I would be getting two bishops for one, two bishops for a rook. Okay, but that's if they took there. They don't have to take there. But again, I am assuming most people that I play would take there. And now their best move here is knight to c6 or knight to d7. But if they played knight to c6, wouldn't I just take it because the bishop's still pinned? No, but it's not anymore because now they have two rooks defending the queen. But I still would take it. That's my only move that maintains the advantage here. Now they can play this. Really? That's their best move to maintain, giving me a +4, because now I can't take it with my queen because then the rook would be undefended because the other rook's gone. But I can take it with this, with my knight, or with my king, and be okay. Be about +4. Well, since my knight isn't currently defended, let's say I took it with my knight, then what? Oh, then they take back my other knight, and we're even on material, but I'm up +4. Why? They have a rook and a pawn, or a bishop and a knight. But that pawn's doubled, so I get that that's not great. This is an isolated doubled pawn island, or whatever you want to call it. I guess having the extra piece is just good for me. And I can maintain this advantage. But that's not queen to c3. Queen to c3, queen to a5, or bishop to d3. That seems pretty complex here. Okay, back to their mistake. What I saw, of course, like I already mentioned, that my queen is defended, and I thought, why not make that bishop move? And then when it does, I'll trade off for their queen. So I play there. What I didn't see is that knight's undefended. Is that what they played? Yeah. And so now it is my best move to take their queen, but it's basically over now. They're just up a piece. They're up that knight. Because I didn't have a rook behind my queen when I did that. Okay. I think I understand that. That's the last blunder of that game. That took longer than it should have, but that's the point at which I lost. I'm going to go on to the next game. All right, in this second game, the game review on Lichess says I had a huge pile of mistakes and blunders, but it went back and forth around even according to the graph. So there were some points at the beginning where I had an advantage as much as 2.7, 1.8. Then I gave away that advantage. My opponent had a little bit of an advantage, but then it came back toward even. And right here, pretty late in the game, move 41, I have a little bit, very, very slight advantage. And my next move was a blunder. I don't remember what I played here. I could see myself taking this pawn. No, I can't, because this pawn's undefended. I must have done something to protect my f-pawn. Was it bringing the queen down? Was it bringing the rook down? Was it bringing this rook over? Was it bringing this rook up? Did you see the flash again? Oh, that's distracting. People who design websites, please stop doing stuff like this. If you're going to allow us to do stuff like draw arrows on the site, then don't have that cause a blinking light somewhere else on the screen. That's ridiculous. Okay. Again, I'm not a website coder, but I have actually made a few web pages using HTML and CSS, so I do know a little bit about how it works, and I know that whatever you wrote in the code that can cause that, you can find it, and you can unwrite it, or change the order or something, so it doesn't do weird stuff like that. Okay. I'm going to guess I did one of those things and left and guarded that pawn, because that looks pretty obvious, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't see that they were lined up with that pawn, and maybe I did this. I don't know. But it says okay, I did one of those things. That's what the move list says, rook to b2. That guards this pawn. But that was a blunder that gave my opponent a big advantage that they didn't take. Okay, so I should have not done that. I should have... Okay, for a second it said rook b to e1 was my best move. Now that's my second best move. And again, I have a slightly bigger advantage than the game review said. The game review said 0.5, but it's actually 1.0. Now the move that's listed as best is queen to e3. Okay, and that is what the game review says there in the right column. Queen to e3 was best. Now that does guard that pawn. Okay, so I do understand that, but I'm not sure why this is the second best move, because then wouldn't they take this? It says no. They would drop back here. I guess the threat here is coming to their back rank, because them taking this pawn isn't check. And so if they did take that pawn, I could check them, and I guess they would take me, and I would take them, and that would be check, and then they would have to block with their queen? Oh, okay. So if I played rook b to e1, again, not the best move listed now, but if I played that, it would definitely not be in their interest to take here. They would need to move this over to d8 or play queen to d8 so that this isn't a check when I get to the back rank. Okay, how bad would it have been if they took here? Okay, very bad, because I would have checked. It's mate in 3 if they take with the rook. It's mate in 8 if they block with the queen on d8. Not here, really. Oh no, sorry, mate. Okay, it's mate in. I read it wrong. It's mate in 2 if they block on d8, but it's mate in 8 if they block on c8. And I wouldn't take it. You know I would. You know I would take it. My best move would be to take this pawn. Then they would have to move back. Then I would take their queen. Then they would have to take my rook. Then I assume I would take this one. And I have mate in 6, mate in 5. And that's how playing rook to e1 here, rook b to e1, would save that f-pawn. If my opponent noticed that I had lined up and had a really nice check going on down here, they wouldn't take the f-pawn. Okay, I get that. But it does say that my best move is queen to e3, because that protects the pawn and it lines up here. Why did the bar drop to zeros? That's e3, right? It said I had a +1 if I played queen to e3. Backing up. Queen to e3. I'm just going to click on that and see if it goes to the same square that I sent it to. Yes, but now it's zeros. Okay, Stockfish is a little off there, because this one results in +0.4. So that's not my best move then on the previous turn. Okay, but what I did play was this, which is bad. It does protect this pawn, but it allows rook captures d5. What? That's d5. Okay, I was 3 minutes ahead of my opponent here, so I assumed they were moving a little quickly and didn't realize that if I took back with the pawn, they would have checkmate. That's just mate. I would have to block with the rook and then they would take it. So yeah, but that gives them a -5 for a free pawn really. Obviously, they didn't see it because they were moving quickly, trying to save time. They spent 7 seconds and went there threatening my queen. Now we're even. I just have to drop back because I've got to stop what's going on back here, I guess. But they can't get there right now because they didn't take that pawn. Queen to A1 or queen to B4. I'm not sure what B4 does. Or queen to A4. What did I play? Well, I didn't play those. I did move my queen, though. I went there. But that allows queen to F7, which is here. Ah, lining up the whole thing. But they didn't see that. So that takes us back to even. But they're still lining up here. So I don't see what the problem is. Oh, the problem with that, I guess, is that I have two big pieces aimed at that pawn as well. But that has to be what their thinking was, that they're aiming at my F pawn. I need to play rook to E7, which is way down there. That's the only move that maintains equality. But instead, oh, now I took this pawn. I did, yep. And that allows queen to E3, which is, because if I take it, they have mate. That's mate immediately, because the pawn cuts that off. Okay, so I must have seen that because I didn't take it. Okay, well, good for me. But what did I play? What? Oh, it's already mate in 10. It doesn't matter what I play. But my best move is to check now and give away that rook. And they wouldn't even take it. They would just move over. But instead, I went there threatening their queen, which allows this. And now I only have one legal move. That is to block, and they take it, and that's mate. Okay. Okay, so what I had to play was rook to E7, and that would have stopped. That would have kept them from going here. Oh, okay. That, again, with the blinking. It was blinking faster on my screen than it is in the video. But anyway, hard not to be distracted by these things that these sites do that are trying to distract me. The problem with taking their front G-pawn is that my rook gets off the E-file, and I need my rook on the E-file to keep their queen from coming in here. What I want to know is how my opponent saw that. Because how long did they spend on queen to E3? That's their best move by far. They had 2 minutes and 7 seconds. They spent a long time on that. Spent 29 seconds on that, right? Did I do that right? Or 19 seconds? 19 seconds. Okay. I almost want to flip the board and see like how hard it would have been to spot that. Well, I paused the recording. I flipped the board. I looked at their position. I wouldn't have spotted that. And I probably won't spot that. So all I conclude is that my opponent is severely underrated in Rapid. It also looks like from their profile, which I just looked at, that they play a lot more Rapid games than I do. But still, that's an astounding tactic to spot, to place their queen right here where it looks like you can just take it, knowing that they would then have mate in one if I did take it. If they went there, they must have been hoping that I would take, so that they would have an immediate mate. Now, I guess it's a deflection. Is that what that's called? A deflection? Because right now the pawn's in the way, and they can't take it because of all the power I have. I mean, I'm protecting this pawn multiple ways. But if they could just get it to move on its own, that's mate. Because they got their H pawn so far advanced that it guards at G2. That's pretty frustrating that I'm playing people that are able to spot that in 19 seconds. But that's how I lost the game, is by allowing their queen on that, allowing their queen here. If I had just left this rook here, I would have been okay. I could have even played A6 and it would have been really close to even. But the only other move that works is here. Why doesn't it work if I go to E6? Why doesn't it work then? But that's not even close. Or here is worse. So what's bad about this? What does that allow? That's huge. Oh, because it allows them to come here to help get rid of that pawn. Oh, okay. But wouldn't they still have that if I went here? They would still be able to play this, but then what? Oh, because now I have two rooks aimed there. I get it. Okay, that's why this is different than the other one. Okay, maybe I'm overrated and my opponent was rated just fine. That's always a possibility. Okay, this is the third game. I'm doing this part of the video over again because the first time I did it, I didn't realize which side I was on and I thought that I won. And I read the page wrong, so that's my fault. This is one of those cases where my opponent didn't make any mistakes. No mistakes, no inaccuracies, no blunders. And as I've said many times, I'm not going to beat somebody who doesn't make mistakes. His opponent played perfectly, but I made some mistakes. Okay, so let's back up. My opponent played the Sicilian, I went here. I'm supposed to just go ahead and play D4 now, according to all the accepted wisdom. But I didn't like that because I thought they would take, and when I took back, they're going to have two center pawns left, and I'm not going to have a center pawn. So I didn't like that, but that's what I'm supposed to do apparently. But I played C3 preparing this So then if they took, I would still have a center pawn. But instead, I did that, which leaves my opponent a little bit of an advantage. They're supposed to take, they did. I'm supposed to take back, which I did. They're supposed to get that knight out. Now I'm supposed to play d4. Oh, but now I went there. That's inaccurate. Okay. a6 is best, so might as well take the knight, right? They took back with the bishop. Now I'm supposed to take back with the bishop. No, now that's what I did. Take back with the knight. I'm supposed to play d4 again, but instead I took there. They took back. Castling is fine here. I'm still not that far behind. They played their best move. Oh, wait, I played my best move here. This came from analyzing some games just a week or two ago where Stockfish kept recommending me putting the knights out here on the rim. I had no idea what to do here. I obviously can't develop my knight to its normal squares here because I have accidentally put pawns in the way, but I can put it there, and it says that was good. That's my best move. Well, one of my two best moves. Well, good for me. And then it can come back in here, and that is my best move. Okay, so I wasn't doing too bad. Their best move is to castle. Now play d4? I did. It was my best move. Opponent played there. That was their best move. My best move is to put my queen up here on e2 or f3 or move the rook to e1, but instead I did that. That's not even an inaccuracy, but now my opponent is ahead, -1. Their best move. My best move is still queen to e2 or taking the pawn. I took the pawn. Queen to b5 is their best move, but instead they played their second best move. I haven't been looking at the time. Are these times suspicious? 5 seconds? Oh no, they spent a long time on that one. They spent 42 seconds on that one. What about before that? 7 seconds? 4 seconds? 6 seconds? That was 8 seconds. Okay. Pretty consistent, except for the one where they spent 40 seconds. Like, right, yeah, they spent 40 seconds on that move. Okay. But then when I took this pawn, how long did they spend on the next one? 5 seconds. That was their second best move. I'm not making an accusation. That move was fine. I'm not suspicious of that move. It's trading a knight for a bishop when I was up a pawn though. But that seems like the obvious move. Just to back up here, after I took that pawn, it seems like their obvious move is to take back with the bishop. But that's not among their top 3 moves. Their top move is this, but that would look incredibly suspicious if they put their queen over here on b5, I think. It would be getting it out of the pin, so that part's not suspicious, and it would be attacking here. It would just be suspicious because of how odd it is when this looks so obvious. But that's also what makes this look odd, although it's a discovery attack on my queen, but my queen's protected, and so is that bishop. So they do that. It's my best move to take back with the knight. Now they take back the pawn, which points at the knight, which threatens to create an isolated pawn for me. So I'm supposed to go up here and protect it. Is that what I did? No, I played my third best move, which is still fine. We're still close. Nobody's made a mistake yet. We're on move 16. They took back. That one's obvious. I forgot that I was supposed to be watching their times, but again, some of these moves are obvious. Knight to c4 is their third best move. No, sorry, my third best move. It's my turn. My best move is to go ahead and line up with that rook, but then wouldn't they put this rook behind it, and then I would take that one? Really? And then they would take back. I'm not going to follow that line. That would give them control of the open file. Okay, that was my third best move. I was trying to, I don't know what I was trying to do, but basically I thought if I left it there, when they took it, that's going to create an isolated pawn for me, which is going to be hard to defend, and pawns march down the board easier when they have other pawns beside them, and that one would be all alone, which is sad. So anyway, that was okay. That was their best move, by far. Now, play g3. Okay, that seems a little obvious, because that they have a dark squared bishop. They can't see these squares, so I could get my king out that way. Again, with the flashing and blinking over there. Okay, g3 seems obvious. a4 or rook a to e1. Not sure what rook a to e1 does, except block in my other rook. Okay, well, no, I didn't play that. Why? I clicked the next button. I don't know why it did that. Okay, I played b4, which seemed obvious to me to chase off the bishop, but that allows bishop to e7, which is their best move, or bishop to f8, which is their second best move. How long did they spend on this? 8 seconds. Played their second best move in 8 seconds. Now I'm supposed to put the knight back where it was, but I'm already behind because that was such a big mistake. Don't know why. Or back here. I don't know why either. Or rook f to b1. No, rook f to b1 to block in that rook. Earlier, Stockfish wanted me to put my A rook over here so my F rook was trapped. Now it wants me to put my F rook over here so that my A rook is trapped. Okay, well, I didn't see any of those. I went down there. I know it's an empty threat on the rook, a one-move threat, but it also serves to block this pawn for a second. And I knew I had easy routes out, so I wasn't worried about them counterattacking me. It's not their best move to counterattack me. It's their best move to slide over. It's their second best move to slide up and counterattack me. And it's their third best move to come down here and attack this pawn, which I can only defend by moving forward. But my opponent spent 5 seconds and played in inaccuracy. My best move is the F rook over to C1. Nope, it's changed its mind. A3. Nope, rook F to C1. Okay, rook F, either of the rooks to C1 would guard this pawn. I can't move my A rook over there because that would leave my A pawn undefended. So I understand both of those moves. H3 also. Why not G3 now though? Because they do still have a dark squared bishop. They could come in. They would be pointing here with it later. I played A4, which isn't good. Rook to C2 is their best move to get behind this pawn since I made no effort to defend it. That one seems very, very reasonable, but they took their time to think of that. 29 seconds. Okay. Again, that one seems very reasonable. That was the whole reason for putting this rook back here in the first place, was to keep my A rook defending that pawn or to slide in here to attack this pawn. So I'm not sure why they spent 30 seconds looking at that. I'm supposed to go ahead and just protect that pawn anyway, like this. But that would allow them to bring their other rook in here, which is another reason that moving over here seemed so obvious. Okay, but instead I went up there to protect that pawn. That's a mistake because it allows this, which they played in 8 seconds. And there I resigned. I always like to give my opponents benefit of the doubt. I don't like to accuse anyone of cheating or anything like that. The reason that I was noticing the consistency of the time on a lot of these moves, you saw there were 2 places where they spent a lot of time. Whatever the one was, 42 seconds, and then that one that was 29 seconds. But all the other ones were between 4 and 8 seconds, all of them. And some of them did not seem obvious. And in most of those cases, they played their second best move pretty consistently. There were a couple places where they played their best move, but in like the case of moving the rook over, they took a long time and played the best move. But that move kind of seemed obvious. It was the whole reason for bringing the rook down in the first place. I don't know. I'm also not great with my gut feelings being correct, so I'm not saying anything. I'm just talking out loud about some of the things that are going through my mind. I didn't play perfectly in this game. I missed some defenses that I do understand after having seen what Stockfish's suggestions were. But again, even whether my opponent, assuming my opponent was playing honestly, they didn't make any mistakes. I'm not good enough to beat people who don't make mistakes. So let's go on to the next one. All right, this seems as good a spot as any to end the video. Not this spot, but with this game, because I won this game. It's the only one in this video that I won, and this was the last position in which my opponent ran out of time, and I still had nearly 4 minutes left. And I was ahead, according to the graph and the game review chart and Stockfish here, even though I'm behind on material. No, I'm ahead on material because of all the extra pawns, but when it comes to pieces, I'm a little bit behind. But my opponent and I both made plenty of mistakes here. I don't know which ones are the important ones to look at, but let's go toward the end. In the graph, it says this is part of the end game here after move 37. We are close to even. Let's let the engine run for just a second. My opponent has a very slight advantage, but no more than they would have had we both played perfectly from the beginning. And it says my best move is to block this check with g6. I suppose I also could have blocked it with the knight, but that's not an option. I think that's not a good idea because they can always throw this pawn up here. Saw the blinking again out of the corner of my eye. Sometimes I wish, have you ever seen those pictures of the horses in the olden times where they had the, I don't remember what those things were called, but they kept the horse from seeing stuff off to the sides. Sometimes I wish I had those. Yeah, and blocking the check with the knight would have been bad because they could throw the g-pawn forward and then the knight is toast. Blocking here is best, but moving out of check is a blunder regardless of which way I do it. How am I supposed to tell that? Don't know. Again, that's not what I played. I clicked the next button. It's done that a couple of times in this video. Back here, if I click the next button, it should do... Okay. Well... Okay, when I click the next button, I don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's going to play the move that I did play, and sometimes it's going to play the move that I should have played. how to know the difference. I thought just clicking the next button would take us down the move list. But anyway, that's what I did play. I don't know why that's so much worse than this. What does it allow? It allows rook to c1. Is that what they played? That's the only move that maintains their advantage. That is what they played. Okay, so my opponent is up now. My best move is to block the coming check with my queen, because their queen's cutting off here, right? My queen's in danger, so I've got to move it off this file. But if I just move it off the file like that, that's checkmate. Well, I mean, I would block with my queen, but then they would take it, right? Well, I saw that, so good for me. But now they can just play b4, or queen to d3, which challenges my knight. Then my knight would have to go back here. They did play that. Why didn't I go there? I didn't. I could have gone to either of those spots. Wait, g4? Why would I have gone to g4? Oh, okay. Okay, I get it. Man, I'm slow sometimes. But yeah, if I gone to g4, I would have been threatening here. So they would have had to have gone back a little bit to guard that had I gone to g4. If I'd gone to f5, then they would have played here, I guess, thinking about coming down. I don't know. But I went the other way. I thought that was good because number one, it blocks their rook's path. Number two, it's protected. I mean, it does allow b3, but they played their second best move. And they spent some time on it. But again, my opponent's running out of time here. My opponent's down to a minute and a half or so. I need to play knight to b6, which gets my knight out of danger and protects this spot down here, or queen to b8. Not sure why queen to b8's good. But guess what? Guess what I played now? This time I did play g6. I don't know why. I guess because maybe I was thinking about getting my king off the back rank. b3 is their best move to attack the knight. My best move is to play knight to a3 now. But then wouldn't they just move their pawn again and they would be attacking my knight and protecting their pawn? But it's not. It says if I played knight to a3, they would just come down here. I don't know that my opponent would have played that, but now I played knight to b6. That was my best move on the previous turn. But now they can play queen to c7 or f5 or queen to a5. But they got their best move from their previous turn and went here. So my opponent's still up +6. My best move, by far, b4 or a3. I presume to attack their b-pawn. And of course, from here, I would also protect the knight. But wait, why is a3 listed? It's my turn, right? a3 is one of my top two moves. Wouldn't they just take the knight? It says they wouldn't. Oh, they wouldn't take the knight because then I would hit the rook. I found that, and I'm pretty proud of myself. How long did I spend on that? Oh, I spent 22 seconds on that? Okay. Good thinking. Because if they take my knight, which seems obvious, I'll get their rook, and I think that's mate. And if they check me, I can just get out of check. Because I finally moved that pawn up. Okay. But they checked me. So I can just move out of check. Now, I don't want to move out of check to h7 because then they can take this pawn. And I think that's bad. So I moved here. And now we're back to even because they checked me. And they shouldn't have. And now their rook's in danger. So they need to move their rook. They need to move it to g1 or f1 or b1. They did one of those. Okay, so we're close to even. But now I get their pawn. They don't have a passed pawn anymore, and I'm protecting my knight. So we're about even. My opponent is still up one pawn. They need to play here. I'm not sure exactly what that does. Oh, I guess it threatens a check in here on f6. But instead, with 30 seconds on the clock, they took 7 seconds and threw their h-pawn forward. Now we're dead even. I wasn't sure if this was going to be dangerous coming in. Probably not. But very often when the opponent throws the h-pawn, I meet it with the h-pawn. That's a blunder. It gives my opponent an advantage. But only if they play f5 now. If they played f5, wouldn't I just take it one way or the other? Oh, I guess I wouldn't take it with this one because that would help create this passed pawn. Oh, that would have been another reason for them to play e7 earlier because it would have pinned my f-pawn. I don't think I would have found this if I were them. They didn't find it. They threw forward g4 with 23 seconds left. But that allows this, and I found it because I had plenty of time to look for it. They only have one legal move. Oh, my best move is knight. What? My best move is knight to c4. Nope, it's changed. It's changed its mind. The move I played was my best move. I took a pawn with check. Their best move is to go out to f2, which allows me to take another pawn with check. But this one, it has to be that one. I'm not sure why. I took that one, which takes us back to even. But only if they go to the g file. Why does it make so much of a difference? They went to the e file. That allows me to take this pawn with check. And now they're toast. They did play their best move here. but they're down to 9 seconds left. That is a check. They come up here. I'm just going to keep checking because I don't know I'm ahead. I don't know I have a -8, -9 advantage. I think I'm behind because they've got this queen all the way in here. I am beginning to wonder, though, because I was able to just clear off 3 pawns just now. I was wondering whether it would be in my best interest to repeat, but apparently not. I was also watching my opponent's clock, so I decided to try to keep not repeating, try to keep checking in different positions and see if they would leave that rook unattended. Stockfish says queen to c7. Because they have 2 pieces pointed at that pawn. Well, I knew I shouldn't be worried about that if I kept checking. But then my opponent ran out of time here. I know that I was way ahead here, but if my opponent had had the same amount of time as me during some of that sequence, I think I probably would have tried to repeat because I wasn't sure I was ahead. I must have seen, I don't remember because this has been a week or more ago, I must have seen that they had 2 pieces pointed at f7 and I don't have anywhere to go with my king. So I must have been thinking to keep checking, keep checking. I'm not sure why here I didn't take that pawn, because that also would have been a check. Let's back up. Yeah, now it looks like it would have made a lot more sense to take that pawn. But again, at this point, I think after taking those pawns, I might have repeated or something, or tried to find a way to trade off the queens. But if I had taken that pawn with check, then once they moved out of check, what should I have done at that point? I guess I could have played this. What would have been their best move if I'd played? Oh, their best move would have been to block, and then my best move would have been to check again some way, somehow, but not to play here. How bad would it have been if I'd played here? Oh, I still would have had an advantage. Okay. That would have given them this pawn, though, if they'd wanted it. Yeah, that wouldn't have been a good idea. I was just thinking, I was thinking of a way to cut their rook off from seeing that. But yeah, I need my f-pawn to defend here, so I would have to keep checking or probably repeat. So I probably wouldn't have won this game if my opponent had had more time. Well, I've used up a bunch of my time for today. If you made it this far, I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate all those of you. And let me try that again. I do appreciate you spending your time here, and I appreciate all of you who have left comments, helping explain positions to me, or just encouraging. Gonna try to say this one more time. I do appreciate all of you spending your time here, and mostly I appreciate those of you who have left comments, whether you're explaining a position to me, or just encouraging me, or just bantering in general. I appreciate it, not just for the community's sake, because we need each other, right? And let's all get better at chess together. I'll see you next time.